Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Today's video is a little bit hands-on and I know some of you guys have been waiting a little while for this video, but grab a drink, pen and paper, because today I'm going to show you guys how I built the STARLIGHT feature floating panel. I'm just joking, there's nothing there just yet, but there will be one at the end of the project. Now, building a DIY StarCeiling panel can be built in many different ways, but I've chosen to go with a thicker bulkhead look that's also going to be portable, meaning it's not going to be a solid fix and ruin the ceiling just in case I want to remove it in the future. Yes, I'm sure there are plenty of easier, cheaper and better ways that can be done, but I found this build very durable. It's not too heavy, looks great and very affordable. I'm not a massive fan of expensive panels that you can purchase that's quarter of this panel size. I do like to save cost and use them in areas that are in need, such as equipment upgrades, etc. Now, I'm not a professional carpenter or a teacher of how to do videos, so please bear with me. And if I miss anything, drop a comment down below and please make sure you don't skip any steps. Before we head down to the workshop, if you like home theater, general tech, PC and gaming content, make sure you hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for plenty of future content that's coming up. But for now, let's go have some fun. Alright guys, here we are in my garage. It is very warm in here, so I don't want to hang around for too long. There is a little bit of background noise, but let's just ignore that. Unfortunately, DIY projects are happening in this workshop, like most of you guys do in your own garages, so stay tuned. Don't want to miss any steps, but let's take a look at what materials and tools we need. Okay, so starting off with the framework, we need a square edge 2.4 meter 90 by 20 millimeter clear pine. For the base, I'm using a 2.4 meter by 1.2 meter 8 millimeter thick MDF board for the STARLIGHTs to sit in. You can use the 3 or the 6 millimeter MDF board instead. It is a lot lighter, but it is also a little bit more flimsy. So that's why today I'll be using the 8 millimeter. I found that it's a lot more solid and perfect for this project. We also need a 70 by 35 millimeter structural pine for some support to hold this panel together. Some screws, of course, I'm using the HG 30mm MDF screws. Now guys, please make sure you use the correct screws for this project. Make sure it's MDF or chipboard approved. This panel will be floating style design, so we'll need 4 75mm screw eyes. We also need 90 by 7.6mm ceiling hooks. To give the framework some solid support in the corners, I'm using 4 steel L-shaped brackets. We need some wood putty to patch things. P240 sandpaper if you want to sand things manually. Of course, we need some strong glue for extra support. Now with this, you can use any glue of your choice. I'm just using this because I've got a couple of spare bottles. We need a paint tray and a roller, but please make sure the roller is for MDF timber. Of course, we need a Phillips head drill bit to make life easy, and a drill bit to punch a few holes in our support base. We need our lights, such as this LED strip kit that I bought on Amazon. They have been working pretty good for the last couple of years. I've been using it around the house. And of course, the star of this project, the fiber optic STARLIGHT kit. For our machinery and tools, I'm using the OZITO drop saw for minor cuts and a RYOBI cordless drill. To make my life easy, I won't be sanding down things manually today. Instead, I'll be using a RYOBI sander. Alright guys, let's start on this project. Okay, so all the material is off the shelf from the hardware store. It says to be a 2.4 by 1.2, but I do like to double check things just to make sure. Holy smokes. Alright, so we do have 24.45 in length, which is also fine. There's plenty of space once again, the bigger the better, but it's just crazy to see that they are selling certain measurement products with a certain price, but they are sometimes giving you more or less. Unbelievable. Alright guys, before I cut my framework, I do want to mention that this panel's framework is going to have 45-degree joints. You can use a straight edge joint which will look like this, but I've cut a 45-degree nice clean joint which will connect to another 45-degree and will have that clean look once it's up in the air. So let's not wait any longer and start cutting all our framework. Alright, so the first step is to measure the width, which is 1220 exact. So we will need to make a cut according to the 45 degree. The outer measurement should be the 1220. Now that I've got all four sides cut out for the framework, now I'm making more cuts for the center support of the framework. I know I should be wearing eye protective gear, but my house, my rules. To make a 45 degree cut, you can use this drop saw two ways. One is to slide the bottom base to 45 degrees, or you have the option of tilting the actual saw itself at 45 degrees. Alright guys, it's getting very warm in here. I would like to open the garage door, but it's very loud and noisy. Let's put everything together now. We're going to join all the 45 degree angles on each corner with some brackets that I showed you guys before. And I've got some very small screws as well that you will need that I didn't end up showing you guys. Don't forget the glue, of course, on each corner. Let's get to it. Alright guys, as you can see, I installed all four brackets on each corner of the panel. I do want to make it stronger by putting 2 screws on each corner, but before that I do need to pre-drill so the timber doesn't chip. Once you're done, it should roughly look like this. We will putty that little bit that's left. Alright guys, the outer framework is complete. Before I finish off the inside support, I'm going to flip the whole thing over, screw down the MDF board to the frame, and then flip it back to install the rest of the support. This way the board will be flush with the framework and gets rid of all the imperfections. Alright guys, so I've flipped the board around. Before I start screwing things in, I'm not going to just go around the board in one direction and start screwing things in, because that way the whole framework and the board will be pretty much out of line. So I'm going to go symmetric on this one and do 2 on each corner. That way everything stays together and I don't miss anything. Alright, so that's all done. What I want to do now is go around and make sure the screw is halfway through the board. So once we put the putty, it will be flush with the board. Alright, let's flip it back. Okay guys, so I've cut 2 pieces of the structural pine to go in the middle of the framework. They are a little bit heavy, but we do need this thickness to hold the whole thing up in the air with some hooks. I've also cut 2 pieces of the normal pine to go either end of the MDF board to the framework so it doesn't sag. Alright, so that's looking nice and strong. I'm going to flip the whole thing over for a couple more screws, and then we're going to start with our patching up. Alright, so that's all screwed in nice and tight. I'm going to flip it on the table and start patching. Alright, so I'm almost done, but I just want to show you guys that when you're puttying, make sure you always leave a little bit of excess on top, not so much of going flush with the board, because once you sand it down, you will need that extra little bit that you're leaving on top, so it doesn't go down too much. Whew, it's getting warm in here, guys. I don't know why I chose to do this today, but I'm doing it for you guys. I'm going to let this dry out and wrap it up for today. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. If you have any questions or any suggestions, please shoot a comment down below. Stay tuned for part 2 because I've got a good feeling that this project is going to look amazing. Take care and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.